Good afternoon, Brittany. How are you doing?
Hi, Ellen. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic and even better. Thank you so much for making the time today to talk to youth in journalism and their journalism advisors about something that's really important, which is election coverage. Before we
Yes.
dive in, I just wanted to give just a brief overview to people who might not know you. This is Brittany Hardaway. She's the evening anchor at WREX TV in Rockford, Illinois. She is a career journalist, and actually, she goes back to journalism in high school. She started in the radio and TV program at her high school, and then went on to Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, and is now embarking on a pretty big career in broadcast journalism. And I'm just thrilled that you're here and that you're also here. So thank you.
Ah, thank you, Ellen, for that introduction.
So I just wanted to ask you a little bit in this big election year that we're in, and now we're just a few months away from election day. Wanted to ask you as a professional journalist to maybe give your thoughts to younger journalists about this process. And the first question I'd like to ask you is, why do you believe it's important for young journalists to cover the political process, even though they can't vote themselves yet?
Uh, First part of that question, you kind of cut out on the second part. Why do
Oh,
you think it's important for them to cover the political process? Just tell me that second part.
well, to cover the political process, even though many of them can't yet vote.
Okay, got it. It is so important for our young children. Even if you're not interested in media, and you just want to just start training your mind to be a part of this process, even though you can't vote yet, it's so important to be a part of it because you guys are the future. And I know that sounds cliche to say, but you are the generation that will be our next leaders, making all of those big decisions. And we need you to kind of start getting your mind wrapped around about what's going on because there's so many important issues affecting your parents, affecting your grandparents, but these things will also start to affect you. A big thing this political season, the economy, inflation. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard when your mom or grandparents are at the grocery store, they're like, oh my God, these eggs, this bacon is so high. And, they want those changes to happen at the top. And that kind of thing just doesn't happen in the grocery store. A lot of these things we have to go through our lawmakers to make those changes. So even though you guys can't vote yet, it's so important to just kind of start to understand the process because when it's your time, you can make an impact on things happening right in your community. So I really want you guys to just really, take this seriously. I remember when I was your age, I used to go with my mom to the polls. Like even as a little girl, I'm like,
Wow.
what is she doing in that little box? Yeah, I used to go with her and I'm like, what's in that box? And now being older, I'm like, wow, my mom has been doing this since I was little and now I'm doing it on my own. So it's so important that you start to learn that process because when you are eligible to vote, we're going to need you at the polls.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for reminding people to get ready to vote and then to vote when they can. What are ways that you would suggest for a high schooler to localize the political news? So much of it is over their head, it's kind of away from their community. How can they localize the news and feature coverage to their own community? What are some specific ideas you might have?
Yeah, it's always when you want to think local, think about the issues that are impacting you right in your neighborhood. And you can go to leaders right in your community. Wherever you live, you have an alderman, you have a council person. If you're in a bigger city like Chicago, you have county commissioners, things like that. And you can really start with them and they can really help you understand, hey, what can we do about this? Or, how does this process work when all I hear is them talking about gas prices? Those are the kind of people you want to start with, people that you can reach immediately. It may be hard to get to a senator or a mayor. That may take a little bit more work, but your local alderman, they're there to serve you. So I would definitely start there. And then also getting around people that are interested in politics, maybe starting your own group on campus or in your classroom. And it's like a few of us, social studies class, and a few of us are really interested about that, starting a club to kind of, learn about that, and having your teacher, bringing your teacher in. Those are just small little things you can do to kind of just give you a taste of what, what are the big issues and how can you make change on a local level. So I would really start there to kind of like get the ball rolling, get the education rolling. And then you guys, when you have your group, and then you can like, okay, so this is a bill, this is how, they move it through the house, and that kind of thing. So start with the baby steps.
That's great. Start, begin, and then keep going, right?
Yes.
Do you have any cool ideas from your experience of what makes a really great feature type story that you might do around politics? Would it be like a feature profile, or do you have an example that you've done that you think is like, this is a way to tell a story that you might not be so obvious, but it's great?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? One of our reporters just this week did a really cool story. There was a watch party happening with college students. This was all hosted by college students at one of our local universities, and
For the
they
debate, for
know
the debate?
yes, for the presidential debate, yes. And they know that right now, millennials and Gen Z, there are so many millennials and Gen Z eligible to vote, but the problem is people don't know how they're going to turn out at the
Right.
polls. So local students, what they did on campus, they did a watch party. And so here we were like, that would be a great story to cover from the student perspective. And it wasn't more so about who are you voting for. It was about, why are you guys doing this? So I thought that was a cool angle to show other people their age that, hey, even though, this is a crazy election cycle, we can get people our age out. They had pizza, they had professors on staff, they had some elected officials there. And it was just a great way to connect, have some food, enjoy the debate, and maybe ask questions about things that came up. And on the journalist side, I think that that's always a fun way to kind of get the youth involved while also covering their angle of because it's showing that, we need more people, those 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, we need more of you out at the polls, but this is a fun way, an easy way to bring them in where you can still enjoy it and process the debate with people who are going through it right along with you.
That's a great idea, and I hope that several of the programs that are listening will think about doing this. There's still a lot of time to get ready for November 5th, a lot of time to order that
Yes.
pizza and get people on campus. And you want to be with your tribe, right? It's a big moment in history. You want to be there, so bring
Yes,
them together.
yes, I was going to say literally every election, doesn't matter if it's a primary or whatever, every election night, we all get excited here at the station because we're going to have pizza. And we have the pizza boxes. So it's like a fun party. It's like, okay, we're doing our work, but the pizza boxes are always stacked up.
Oh, that's awesome. What would you say? Now, this kind of turning a little bit to a different direction. There are a lot of kids I talk to, and sometimes their teachers too, who are worried that if they start to cover, even asking candidates, can you tell us what your views are and things, so we can just put it in our publication or on our broadcast site. They're afraid to even do that much because they think they'll get in trouble with their administration or maybe with their school board or something, just by the actual act of covering the electoral election process. What could you say to help them understand maybe a different way to think about it?
Yeah, you number one, you all will not get in trouble. I promise you. This topic, this election, this is so important to millions of Americans across the country. And you will never get in trouble for talking about something that is actually happening. Like you just can't get in trouble for something like that. And covering it, you have the right to do that. And I feel like, and I know as a journalist, covering these elections are important because you are bringing value to people at home who may not necessarily are up to date on what's going on. So as a journalist, it's our job to bring you the news of the day, let you know what former President Donald Trump is talking about, Vice President Kamala Harris, to let you know where they stand, where their views align. And we have to ask those questions, because then you at home can say, okay, I agree with this, or, I don't really agree with that from that candidate. We never give you anything opinion based. We always give you facts from those candidates, and we make sure that you choose and that you go where your values align. I have never been arrested for covering the news, for covering for talking to a political candidate or asking them some tough questions. Sometimes you have to do that because these are the things that people at home want to know. And like I said, you may not necessarily be able to reach the mayor, but being a part of the media, I may be able to do that. So if you can't, it's our job to get those questions answered. So your mom at home, you at home, 17, 18, you can start thinking about, okay, well, they said that, and I kind of like that. So when you go to the polls the next time, you can remember those are the issues and things you care about, and it's easier for you to make your vote. So you will not get in trouble at all. Don't worry about that.
Thank you. Thank you for affirming them and giving them the confidence to maybe start doing this work. I really appreciate that.
Yes.
Finally, what are a couple, you're a working journalist and you kind of know the inside tips to things. What are a couple of practical pro tips that you might say a young journalist should consider, especially broadcast journalists, but all of them, for interviewing officials or when they're attending campaign events? Pro tips.
Yeah. Some pro tips. If it's an election night, always have your snacks, because this is important, because you need to keep your energy up. And most likely you're going to be at that campaign headquarters or whatever all day. So make sure you do that. A lot of times, here's something that people don't know. We do not wear red or blue on election night or at campaign events. That's something very important. And you may not really think about, like, oh, I can wear red, I can wear blue. You can, but with election season, you kind of want to stay away from that, because as journalists, it's our job to be objective and to not choose sides or things like that. And, Republicans, they typically wear red and Democrats typically wear blue. So we try to stay away from any of those colors on election night, because we don't want people at home to think, oh, Brittany is this supporter because she has on this color. So keep your colors kind of neutral based. You'll see a lot of, next time you're watching a debate, or as we get ready for election night, pay attention to the anchors and the reporters. They're all going to have on white, purple, pinks, yellow, black. They're going to keep it very simple because they don't want you to look at their attire and associate it with the candidates. So that's another important tip. Also, have your pen and pad, because a lot of times these politicians, they will talk with their campaign staff and with their constituents, or, with their supporters. And sometimes you may not be by your laptop or something like that. And those are little nuggets that you can add into your story. So whether you're writing an article or whether you're getting ready for a live shot, you can go over and be like, okay, this council person said this about the election, or this about the economy. And those could be little nuggets you want to add. So always have something to write down your notes. And lastly, do your research.
Wow.
When you go and you go to these election events or things like
Mhm.
that, you want to make sure you know a little bit about the candidate. Maybe, where they're from. That's something good to know. What are some of the big issues that they've been fighting for? Is it reproductive health? Is it the economy? Do they want to lower gas prices? You kind of want to know maybe one to three things about the person. So if you get that opportunity to interview, you can be like, well, I saw, Congressman so and so, he was out there, he was out there with the farmers 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about a farm bill. So that may be your chance, Congressman. Let me get your thoughts on the farm bill. Why is this so important to, our local farmers? And it'll be like, wow, okay, this person has done their research. They know the things that I'm passionate about. So make sure you do all of those things, and you will be so successful at any event you cover.
Oh, this is such great advice. Thank you so much. That I think
Yes.
anyone who's listening to you who takes this advice will be really set up to get out there and start covering the story. Brittany, I just want to ask you, is there anything else you'd like to say to give advice or to encourage any young journalists who are looking in the next couple of months to try and do this election coverage? Last things you'd like to say?
Yeah, you know what? I'll say I remember being in you guys' shoes. Honestly, I was just so excited about the media and just learning about journalism and radio TV when I was in high school. And, sometimes when it gets to the political season, it can be scary to navigate because it's just so many things. People have just different policies, and you may not understand it all, but it's okay. Take a breath and just take it step by step. Even where I'm at, I'm still learning every day. I'm not in at the White House, so I'm not up to date on every single bill going through on Capitol Hill and things like that. Take it one step at a time. That's what I will say. I know it can seem like a lot, but you just already being interested in wanting to cover it, that's just the first step. And when you are eligible, make sure you register to vote. Your vote is so important. A lot of people say your vote doesn't matter. Your vote matters. And we need to see you all at the polls. If any of you are 18, we need to see you at the polls. And if you're not, just register and talk to your family about the best way to get registered in your area.
Thank you for that great comment. And Brittany, I want to thank you for your time. I also want to thank you for being such a positive and encouraging voice in our community here in the state line area in Rockford and beyond, and for being such a trustworthy person. Thank you for your kindness and your
Thank you.
care and your credibility.
Thank you so much, Ellen. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And I know you got to get back to the broadcast work ahead. So have a great
It
afternoon
helps.
and have a wonderful time tonight on the air.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.